and welcome to another episode of Umineko. Um, oh boy, I'm hyped for this episode. Very, very hyped. It's gonna be a good one, as usual. Hey Kat, hello, how are you doing? I'm also, mentally already, preparing for the end. For the end. Both in terms of, the logistics. Hold on, I need to adjust my mic real quick. There we go, that's better. The logistics and, trying to get to the bit that I want to get to by the 5th of October. And also trying to make sure that I don't, that I don't cry on stream. This is silly though, because it will happen. I may as well accept it. But not today, I don't think. Unless I zoom through this, I don't intend to. So it'll be fine. And you're all gonna cry with me. And that is not a threat. That's a promise. Anyway, why don't I start us off with a content warning? After the usual unhinged intro. Alright. Content warning for character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, child abuse, discussion and mentions of incest, discussion and mentions of suicide, and misogyny. Now keep in mind that not all of these may occur in this episode. These are the warnings for the arc as a whole. It's hard for me to figure out what happens when, and to what extent even, because it's been a long time since I last read this. I don't know what's coming up in detail, sadly. So, look after yourself. If you need to take a break or step away, do so. And I do think that this upcoming episode is pretty light on all of these content warnings. Especially the gore and body horror stuff. Which is pretty prevalent in the series, is not going to be much of an issue in this one. No, the others are also not going to be present much, to my knowledge. But again, no guarantees for that. I wish I could plan this out a little better in terms of the warnings, but we're already in episode 8. If you're still here, then you know how this works. And let's see. Recap. Because last episode was an interesting one. With some help from Featherine and Burncastle. Help is in quote marks, really. Sarcastic quote marks. Ange decided, you know what? Fuck you, Battler. I want the truth and I want it now. You were just trying to trick me into thinking that things are all nice and happy when they weren't. And I know everything sucks, so tell me. And tell me right now. I will fight you if I have to. And she had some backup in that from Erika, who ended up challenging Battler to a duel of sorts, where they both pose each other like a mystery, a riddle. That basically goes, you were in a locked room, and yet I stabbed you in the back. How did that happen? And on the other side of the coin, while this duel is going on, Ange's been trying to get into the chapel to get the Book of One Truth, which is Ava's diary, turns out. And Beatrice is tasked with stopping her from getting to the book by Battler. And that's most likely also going to lead to a fight. Meanwhile, Featherine's human form has been working on a book, a manuscript, and is discussing this with Burncastle. At which point, a mysterious other person is said to have woken up recently. And that's all we know about that. So, yeah. We've got a big episode coming up with 2 fights and a mystery. And I do believe it is this save, so let's go. Yeah, the plot kind of split into three paths there, which is always a lot of fun. Because usually that ends up being really fast-paced or intense and good stuff, including the music, as you can hear. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna take a single sip of my tea because it's likely far too hot to drink. Because it always is. And then we're gonna start.
Repetition requested. The definition of a locked room prevents all varieties of entering and exiting.
Thank goodness it's not a Lambda voice, first off, you're totally right. That always just fucks me up. But no, it's these two. Pointing at each other intensely. Decline repetition. By definition, it is impossible for a locked room murder to take place inside a perfect locked room.
The chain might have been repaired after it was destroyed. The door might have been repaired after it was destroyed. The wall might have been repaired after it was destroyed.
My locked room doesn't involve anything being repaired.
Good. This really is getting fun, Bather-san.
Sorry, but I don't have time to play with you right now.
I'm sorry too, but as a fellow witch of truth, I can't let you get in Ange-san's way.
That was the wrong honorific there. Come to think of it, you're a witch of truth too, aren't you? I see. That makes you a sort of mentor to Ange.
The single truth. It is the supreme, the ultimate. Only a witch of truth can break down all barriers that stand between her and that truth.
Is this single truth of yours really so important? There are lots of things in this world that aren't worth knowing. How important is 1986 to Ange, really? It isn't important at all.
You're probably right. No matter what happened or didn't happen in 1986, it won't change anything for the Ange living in 1998. There's no point in learning that truth. However, there is just one thing that will change.
What's that?
How she lives.
Erika transformed her reasoning into a scythe's blade and lashed out at Balor over and over. Balor also created a blade from his reasoning and attacked Erika over and over. In the middle of all this, he questioned Erika, the girl who, like Ange, called herself a witch of truth. Just what is the point of exposing the truth? You're right. Knowing certain things often changes the way a person lives her life. In that case, I have one hope as her blood relative. I hope that, at the end of my game, Ange finds a better way to live her life.
By learning things, people change the way they live, but not always in a good direction. There are plenty of things in this world that you'll be more comfortable not knowing.
The number of ticks living in the seats on a train. Those urban legends about nasty stuff in the tap water. The world's full of things you'd be better off not knowing. The Book of the Single Truth probably can teach Ange what happened on this island. But what's the point in her knowing that? It'll just increase the sadness she's felt for 12 years. How many more years will it take for her to find happiness as an ordinary girl? How many years will it take for her wounds to be healed? Ange's desire to find the truth is hurting her, regardless of what the truth actually is. Though her wounds were slow to heal, they did begin to do so during those 12 years. However, Ange kept picking at the scabs. In search for the truth, she tore at those wounds herself, opening them up once more. It's time for Ange to be free of her sadness from 1986. That's the thing all of us Ushinomiyas pray for.
Who cares about that? The truth is everything. The truth is justice.
That's a disease everyone catches at one time in middle school. The desire to find out all those things adults are hiding.
And don't you think it's fun to find that out?
Yeah, totally. Reading dirty books wouldn't be nearly so fun if you didn't have to do it in secret. Oh my god.
I deny all your blue wedges with the red truth. None of the methods you suggest could defeat my locked room.
Ange was breathing heavily. The book of the single truth was right before her eyes. If she could just defeat Beato, she'd be able to take the book to Burn Castle, and then she could read what was inside. Even though the truth at the final family conference on October 4th and 5th, 1986, was right there, the Golden Witch stood in her way. Her anger and hatred spun around inside her head, wiping out the composure that she needed to create theories. And, given the context, I do feel like her witch outfit looking kind of like a funeral dress is, appropriate. Ange shook her head several times, clearing away everything that got in the way of thinking. However, no matter how many times she thought it through, the locked room sealing her in the chapel was perfect. Ange wasn't particularly familiar with the mystery genre. However, she knew about all the fragments containing Beato's game so far. Her knowledge was shallow, but it should still have been enough to give her a good foothold. However, no matter how many blue truths she shot at Beato, none of them even made the witch flinch. Beato just blew them apart with the red truth in an elegant wave of her pipe. It's about time you gave up. I don't even view this as a game between the two of us. Are you trying to say that I could never solve this puzzle? I'm just buying time until Balor finishes entertaining Erika. He's the only one who can bring you to your senses. Bring me to my senses? You're the ones doing this to me by hiding the single truth. That's why I'm fighting you. This is my right. As the final member of the Ushinomiya family, I have a right to know the truth. Indeed. And that is the purpose of this final game. That's right. Without this final game, I wouldn't have been given a chance to reach the truth. At least for that one thing, I'm grateful. But, as for what happened in 1986, as for who took your relatives and your family away from you, as a human, your desire to know the truth is quite natural. However, even knowing this, Balor had decided that it would be best if you didn't return to 1986. I know what Oni-chan's trying to say. He's telling you to look to the future and live, instead of being stuck in the past, right? Correct. Balor wanted to use this final game to show you that. In that case, I gave my answer at the beginning. It's thanks but no thanks, Golden Witch. Back in 1986,
I was already dead. I've wandered about like a ghost for 12 years since then. And when Aunt Ava died, I lost my only reason to stick around on this earth as a ghost. That's why I decided to do one last thing before ending my life. And that thing would be learning the truth of 1986. Yeah, something wrong with that? Indeed there is, foolish girl. So, when you do reach the truth, you plan to die. In that case, I can't let you have it. I must trick you and blind you as much as I can, to keep you alive. Battler wants you to live. Life without the truth is no better than being dead. I'm trying to find the truth so I can live. You just admitted you were searching for the truth so you could die. Yeah, that's true. Then let me rephrase that. I'm trying to find the truth so I can die. I offered up my life when I made the contract with Burncastle. All so that I could learn what happened that day. That single truth will be the souvenir I take with me to hell. It's useless. You cannot break this locked room. This locked room is perfect. And yet, I kill you in this locked room. She had tried every theory and idea she could think of, even those so absurd they qualified as nonsense. However, none of it had any effect on Beata. Powerless and frustrated, with the book of the single truth right before her eyes, Ange bit her lower lip. At first, this was supposed to be a game in which you were given a key that would let you decide your future. Liar. You wanted to hide the truth in this chapel, then make me choose a door that leads to some optimistic future. That's not a choice. You're trying to decide for me. Parents have the right to prevent their children from making unsuitable choices. I'm not a kid. I'm an 18-year-old woman who can think and act for herself. Fool. You're just a 6-year-old girl who can't think of anything except the past. And whose fault is that? Because of you, I've been stuck as a 6-year-old all this time. Now it's time for me to tear apart your illusion covering the truth. Yes, now that I think about it, it's not this chapel that you've locked me inside. Since that day in 1986, for all these years, you've had me locked away in a locked room where I'm all alone and where no one will tell me the truth. And now, I'll tear your locked room apart with my own hands. Yeah, it's useless. It's all useless. I know the trick to your perfect locked room. Repetition requested. You murdered me immediately after shutting me into this locked room. I decline. Of course you do. You spent the next 18 years killing me. Thanks, Beatrice. If you hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have figured out the trick. Ange, you're young, and you have a long future ahead of you. In fact, you are a golden witch living in the future, are you not? Then live in the future. Just how much is a truth of the past really worth? Isn't the truth of the future, the truth that you will create yourself, far more important? My life is trash. My whole family died, leaving just me behind. That's why I'm going back to them once I've gotten my single truth. If you learn the truth, you'll just have to accept your family's deaths. Haven't you ever thought about living on, hoping that by some miracle, one of them might have survived, and that someday you might get a chance to see them again? Don't worry. Even the Witch of Miracles couldn't find a fragment like that. Almost none of the family's remains were recovered from the Great Hirokojima explosion. Some days,
I hoped that this might be a sign that they had escaped the explosion and survived, and that hope gave me the strength to live on. However, that hope wasn't strong enough to support me for 12 long years. So, even though I wanted to know the truth, I was unconsciously averting my eyes. I felt that learning of my family's deaths for certain would force me to deny any possibility of someone miraculously surviving. But I'm tired of living on and on, with nothing but that impossible hope of a miracle to keep me going. That's why I decided to accept my family's deaths. I decided to accept the truth, no matter what it is. That's why I became a witch of truth. How foolish. To be blinded by the truth of the past and unable to see one's own future. Forgive me, battler. I was not strong enough to guide your sister to a proper future. A blazing blue wedge appeared in Ange's hand. It was long, thick, and shaped like a spear. This is the end, Witch of 1986. This locked room is perfect. Therefore, I can't get out, and you can't lay a finger on me from the outside. However, you locked me into this room. And there's just one trick that makes that the same as you killing me. You shut me in this perfect locked room and made me starve to death. Since you intentionally did this, there's no problem saying that this was a locked room murder with you as the killer. It looks like being overly vague with the cause of death backfired on you. So long, Witch of Illusions. See you in hell. With the stained glass window behind her, Beato spread her arms and let the spear of the blue truth pierce her. The blue spear seemed to crucify Beato against the window. Game set. So, this is Aunt Ava's diary, the book of the single truth. Ange picked the book up from where it lay on the altar, sealed in crystal. If you read that, then by your contract with Burncastle, you will die. Learning the truth just to die? Ridiculous! That's right. I'm looking for the truth so I can die. At least let me choose how I go. I'm not an idiot. I know the real me is still floating in that starry sky. Burncastle acknowledged me as the final Beatrice and invited me on a journey to learn the truth of 1986. There would be no coming back from that journey. When Burncastle told me that and walked off the roof into the black sky, I followed her into the empty air. That was the contract. I wanted two things from Burncastle. One was for someone from my family to come back. The other was revenge. To destroy the witch illusions concealing the events of that day. In other words, to reach the truth. However, the first of my wishes couldn't come true. After all, even the Witch of Miracles couldn't find a fragment where my family came home. So, she wordlessly questioned me. She told me that I couldn't reach the truth unless I had the courage to end this worthless life, living like a ghost and hoping someone might come back. So, she walked out into the open air, and I followed her. Yes, now I can understand. When I offered to trade my life that day, when I offered to trade away my life that day, I made one wish and gave up on another. I wished for revenge against the illusion that hid the truth. And now, I have succeeded in that revenge, defeating the master of that illusion and obtaining the book of the single truth. What I gave up was my naivete. Naivety? Whichever word. My continuing belief that someone from my family might come back. And now, I can accept that my entire family is dead. How can you say someone's alive just because you don't know? This catbox of yours is just a naive illusion. The idea that hiding a corpse means you can pretend it might still be alive. But even if you hide a corpse, it's still dead. You really think you can heal my wounds by saying that they'll always be watching me? Wait. By saying they'll always be watching over me from the clouds like in some kind of fairy tale? I'm Ange Beatrice, Witch of Truth. I'll free myself from that life as a ghost, waiting for a miracle that'll never happen. I'll end my life as a noble martyr who's reached the truth. Didn't you come to understand the power of magic through Maria's grimoire? Yeah, I understood it. And then I despaired when I realized how powerless it was. And that's what Oni-chan is trying to force me to use now, isn't it? If I use magic, then my family will always be by my side. Don't take me for a fool. You think that kind of magic, that illusion, that daydream, can heal those 12 years? And how am I supposed to go on for decades and decades into the future? Someone, come back to me, someone! But no one's coming back. So, at least tell me what happened that day. Berncastle said she'd tell me. Yes, my master. I have the book of the single truth. I'll bring it back to you, so let me have the truth. For a long time now, I've been prepared to abandon my naive hope in the miracle that my family might still be alive. So now, tell me the truth of that day. A blinding light poured out of the chapel. It seeped from the windows and the cracks of the door, even reaching as far as Battler's and Erika's eyes. What? It would seem that Comrade Ange has completed her task. It looks like you've used some useless seal, but to my master, that'll be easier than thawing frozen sorry fish. Damn. Master said I could play with you until Ange finished her task. I've had enough fun from this reunion, so I think it's time for me to leave. Wow, she just dips. Doesn't even solve the mystery. Some witch of truth you are, girl. Erika gave an elegant curtsy. Why did you talk Ange into looking for the single truth? Your master must know. That truth doesn't mean anything for Ange. Yes, all truths in this world are meaningless. In the end, meaning comes from the mind of each individual human. Even when there is a single truth, it can mean different things to different people. The truth has no meaning in itself. There's just one reason why I insist upon the truth despite it all. Because you're a detective. Good. But Ange-san isn't a detective. To her, the truth itself is the finish line. A way to mark the end of her unhappy life. Now, she's finally finished the last purification ceremony. She's a one-night witch of truth, focused on learning just one truth in order to die. A temporary witch for the short time until she slams against the ground. I won't let Ange die. No matter how tough it gets, she has to live. That's the only thing all of us want. If she lives, all sorts of magic and miracles would be possible. If only you'd put your arm around her shoulder and told her that directly, you might not have lost. Your thoughts?
All it takes is to hear you howl, and a deduction like this becomes trivial for Fururo Erika.
Okay, I'm gonna need some tea for this one, I guess. Actually, no, I'm physically incapable of yelling. I've mentioned this before. Live, Ange! He yelled toward the chapel, but Ange probably wasn't even there anymore. Balor's yell was swallowed by the empty, pitch-black sky. The sea of rampaging ghosts. Goats, not ghosts. What's with the comrade, by the way?
Comrade Ava, our mission is complete. Let's withdraw. Oh, are we done already? And I was just about to tear the island apart with my own Ava culprit theory.
Ava appeared in midair and cackled.
Sorry, Balor-kun. I wasn't strong enough. For 12 years, I protected that kid my own way.
I'm grateful.
However, she's decided this for herself. She's 18 years old now. Don't you think people should decide how they live their own lives?
Sorry. For being an overprotective big brother.
Later. I'm Lady Burncastle's piece at the moment. It's time for me to leave. I'll see you later, Comrade Ava.
Ava held her palm open, and a small, pointy blue fragment appeared there. The fragment burst, and with a blinding flash of light, Ava vanished. It was the same light that had seeped out of the chapel earlier. Pieces cannot leave the game board. However, the Voyager witches alone could come and go. This was probably some sort of magic that Burncastle had given them. Erika opened her palm as well, and the same sort of fragment appeared there.
Well then, I bid you farewell. In fact, this might be the last time we see each other.
Wait. We haven't settled our fight yet. If he could steal the fragment in Erika's hand, he would be able to go to where Burncastle was. The seals surrounding the Book of the Single Truth would probably be broken easily with Burncastle's power. However, even so, it would take her some time. If he could steal that fragment, he would have a chance at bringing Ange back.
What is there to settle? Time's up. However, if you feel like taking one last hit, I'd be happy to oblige.
He had known that Erika couldn't resist the challenge. After all, Balor already knew what Erika's trick was. He'd figured it out just a second ago. Even while he spoke with Erika, he'd been thinking about it inside his mind. He could finish her with his last strike and take the fragment. Let's go, Erika. This'll decide it.
This'll be the last one before I go. So go ahead and give me the craziest of your hilarious theories.
Your locked room definition claimed that the walls, windows, floor, ceiling, and chain were all unbeatable. However, there was one possibility that I didn't check because it was too ridiculous. And that was whether or not the chain could be set from the outside. Blue Truth. This is the answer to your locked room. The length of the chain. The chain for your locked room was extra long, so it was possible to set and unset it from outside the room. What a ridiculous answer. However, if you blindly assume that a lock made by an unbreakable chain makes a locked room unbeatable, then this truly would be a perfect locked room. The blue wedge flung from Balor's hand plunged straight into Erika's chest. I read that wrong, but we're rolling with it. As she winced in pain, her hand shook, and the fragment she held flew into the air.
Your locked room definition claimed that the walls, windows, floor, door, and chain were all unbeatable. However, wasn't there one really ridiculous thing missing? Blue truth. Your locked room had no ceiling, so it was possible but to enter by climbing over the wall.
Erika's blue scythe swung out from behind her back, catching Balor in the side as he stretched his hand out towards the fragment. Balor's hand didn't reach it. The fragment returned to Erika's hands once more.
It looks like our tricks were equally ridiculous. The mystery nuts would have been furious, don't you think? But I disagree. To me, the process of exposing that ridiculousness is ecstasy. That's why I'm Furudo Erika, the detective.
Damn it. You figured out the answer a while back, didn't you?
Not true. I thought it up in the instant between the time you let loose your blue truth and the time you stretched your hand out to grab the fragment. I've just been buying time since the beginning. I only started reasoning a second ago.
Erika broke the crystal barrier that surrounded them. Then, she flew high up into the sky, looking down on Balor and laughing at him as she gave a final bow.
Good day, Balor-san. Even if this has been my only time to shine, even if I've outlived my usefulness and about to be thrown back into the depths of oblivion, even so, I have no regrets. Wait!
No one would be foolish enough to wait on command. With a blinding flash, Erika vanished. Ange had gotten the book of the single truth and returned to Burncastle. Balor and the others had no way to leave the game board. Everything had come to an end. A gold butterfly flitted by, and Beato appeared.
My apologies, Balor. I let Ange get away.
I'm sorry too. I've let them get away. It's all over. Balor had created this game for Ange. Now that Ange was gone, the game board no longer had any purpose. And even if that weren't the case, even now, the game board was being chewed apart by the goats, like a single leaf floating on a sea of nothingness. Thanks to Gertrude and Cornelius Seals, the mansion was protected from the second floor up. The door to the Golden Land was now open wide enough for a child to slip through. The smaller people, including Maria and Sakutaro, slipped through it. My friend, I believe the door is opening at a quicker pace. Indeed. To my eyes as well, it seems to be so. Father, is the door open yet? It looks like they're about to break in through the windows. Grow-sama, and there is no need for you to fear. As an Eisener Jungfrau an Eisener Jungfrau barrier is not so easily broken. I could not pronounce barrier followed by Eisener Jungfrau for some reason. Weird.
Very soon, it'll be big enough for adults to go through too. Don't worry, we'll make it in time.
But there's knocking and banging everywhere and... Stay calm and wait. After all, there is nothing for us to do but wait. Even the outer walls of the mansion were covered with goats, and they were plunging their fangs and fists into the walls and windows, trying to break through them. So, there were goats stuck to all the windows in the hallway, smashing their thick arms against the windows in a way that would terrify anyone, even if they knew about the barrier. However, anyone watching the group of goats gathered at the top of the big staircase from the safety of the other side of the barrier would probably feel a different emotion. Instead of terror, it was a sad, empty sort of emotion. The barrier was drawn across the landing at the top of the hall's great staircase. Beyond that barrier, everything had already been eaten away. Was it even possible for those who stood in the hallway of the upper floors to believe that this was the Rokkanjima mansion? By now, no one looking at this scene would be able to imagine such a thing. Forget the hall or even the whole first floor. Even the ground itself was almost gone. The sea of goats had eaten everything apart long before this. They'd eaten apart the hall, the pillars of the mansion, the floor, the ground, the sea, the very concept of the island. Every part of the game board Battler had created. And now, the only leftover was the upper part of the mansion, which floated along in empty space. How pitiful. To what do you refer? The goats, in their eagerness to chew this island apart, have eaten up even the ground they stood on, dropping themselves into nothingness. This had once been a huge entrance hall. Beyond it had been a vast rose garden. There had been so many places to stand upon. However, now, holes had been dug everywhere, and nearly everything outside the mansion was completely gone. Some goats were clutching to the few remaining footholds and pillars, still eating away at them.
It should be known that to expose the truth is to kill. Why can't humans live without killing, I wonder? Throughout their long history, so many have prayed for miracles, but in the end, they eat up their own chances at receiving a miracle, eating up the very ground they stand on and falling into the abyss.
They saw a goat chewing the same pillar that was holding it up, which, unsurprisingly, fell into empty blackness along with the goat.
Humans are sad creatures, fated to live in order to learn. If learning means eating away at the same hopes and dreams that keep you alive, that would mean humans are born just so that they can die. We're taught that we have to live. However, almost everything that we accomplish in life ends up killing us.
Don't think about it. You'll just get a headache.
As a single human, I want to ask, is learning a crime? Is living in ignorance the only way we can have hopes and dreams?
Both living with knowledge and living in ignorance can have their benefits, as well as their shortcomings. You're even free to choose which path you take. That's what makes humans powerless.
While people can learn, they cannot unlearn. And so, the all-knowing God has stepped in for the sake of the humans who cannot know all, marking out things that should be learned and things that should not be learned. Too much curiosity can kill your hopes and dreams. Humans are pitiable beings who are unable to simply avoid those things which should not be learned. Lord Battler may have failed to teach this to Ange, but he can hardly be blamed.
And now Ange's gone. This game is over. Struck dumb by Will's words, everyone fell silent. Only the sound of the goats eating everything away rang out hollowly. Even if they escaped to the Golden Land, these goats of emptiness would probably tune to that realm eventually as well. Even if they got away for the time being, nothing would be resolved. It was all set in stone now. They had no way to resist the future's violent attempts to tear the catbox of the past open. In that case, we must stay alive. If a human's foolishness makes them throw away their own hopes and dreams in the end, then I want to believe in those things until the last second. Your resolve was impressive.
I'm the embodiment of the one hope held by the Beatrices of a million worlds. So, even at a time like this, I have to be everyone's hope. I'm not giving up on this game yet. You're not giving up? I'll keep waiting, believing in a miracle, until the last second.
So, you'll keep struggling on and on until it's all over?
That's right. After all, last time when we were surrounded by that pack of terrifying cats, we were prepared for death, weren't we? But Lambda Delta Sun saved us. If we'd given up, if we hadn't had the strength to believe in a miracle, then I'm sure we'd have been erased before help could come. Well, it's not like I really saved you. More like Byrne just failed to kill you properly. Or it might have been some whim of hers. A miraculous whim from the Witch of Miracles.
How long had she been there? Lambda Delta was leaning on the handrail of the staircase, eating popcorn. She held the cup of popcorn out as if to say, "Want some?" but Leon declined the offer.
Balokun told us. He said Ange-chan made a contract to learn the truth in exchange for her own life. Going by your conversation just now, that was no contract. After all, living and seeking the truth so they can die is what humans do anyway, right? In other words, Ange has spent all of her life trying to learn the truth. All Byrne did was shorten that time to a single instant. When Ange-chan lost her hopes and dreams, she stopped valuing her own life. How can she be given hopes and dreams again? What could be done to help her find a reason for living? Are you asking me? I'm stupid, remember? I'm super airheaded super paper with a brain of confetti. I don't understand complicated stuff.
Lambda, I love you. I'm gonna switch to saying that now instead of saying I have a smooth brain. Super airhead is super paper made of confetti. Yeah. Something along those lines. I'll practice, don't worry. After tossing the last bits of popcorn into her mouth, Lambda Delta threw the empty cup into the abyss of nothingness.
Byrne wasn't really pushing that kid to do something she didn't want. She was giving Ange a chance. Or should I call it a choice? Then, Ange made the choice she wanted, appeared on the game board, and now, in her game against Valor, she's making her own choices again. From start to finish, Ange's games always belong to Ange. Right now, I'm just a casual observer.
Smooth brain is a lot shorter, you're totally right. Still, like, my brain is made of confetti, it sounds pretty funny. Good mental image. More cheerful, too, than smooth brain. It doesn't exactly look like you're glued to the action.
Maybe not. It's a play with an obvious ending. I was thinking I might sneak out in a moment.
So, you'd stop watching a play just because you think you know how it will end? Even though it might reach a climax you didn't expect? Lambda Delta licked her salty fingers. Then, she stared at Leon challengingly and grinned. I know that Ange's game won't end this way. I know Ballerkun's feelings will reach her. She'll understand that he wants her to live in a better future, and she'll choose that future of her own accord. I'm certain that's how this tale will end.
Huh? Are you talking to me, the Witch of Certainty, saying that the outcome is certain?
That's right. I guarantee it. Ange-chan's game won't end like this. So please, don't leave your seat. We won't leave either. There must be something we can do. And that will surely lead her to a better future. This tale will definitely have a happy ending. So keep watching until the end. I beg you.
Even though I, the Witch of Certainty, have already announced that this tale won't have a happy ending.
Who gets to decide what makes a happy ending? For a while, there was a terse silence. With a confident gaze that seemed to be saying, "Are you serious?" Lambda Delta stared at Leon. However, Leon's eyes didn't even twitch. For some time, they both stared into the other's eyes without flinching. Suddenly, Lambda Delta let out a large sigh and stretched.
Well, I have nowhere better to be. Sure, I'll stick around a bit longer. If you get me some more popcorn, that is. I'm feeling like caramel flavor this time.
If you come to the Golden Land, we'll serve you as much as you like. Lambda Delta waved at them with a thin smile. No one was quite sure what this meant, but it apparently signified her surrender in her own way.
Okay. If you'll guarantee your own flavor of happy ending with certainty, then I, the great Lambda Delta, will stick around for a while longer. See how big my heart is? As wide as Lake Biwa.
That's not very wide.
And as gentle as the Sea of Japan.
That is a very rough sea. For your attention, it would seem that you have mixed up your metaphors. There was some muffled laughter. Lambda Delta is the witch who gives strength to those who possess unshakable willpower. She might have given Leon a bit of magic for that absolute belief in a happy ending.
You better not let me get bored, okay? If you do, I'll leave right away.
Of course. I'm sure Balakun will be glad to welcome you as well. Leon understood. In order to fight back against Burncastle, who had taken Ange outside the board, they would need the power of another who was capable of leaving the board. Their last hope was to make sure Lambda Delta didn't abandon this game. So hey Chris, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. However, judging by Lambda Delta's expression as she hummed to herself cheerily, actually asking her for help was probably going to be a problem. Look, Zepar! Everything from the first floor down is gone. What a spectacle! Not a sight you see every day. These two always find the positive in the most terrible things somehow, and that's kind of admirable, really. How have matters progressed upstairs?
Ah, right. We came here to tell you that.
Hey, everyone. Sorry to keep you waiting. They say the door to the Golden Land has opened. Finally. Let us go. This place will not be safe for long. Everyone who had been sitting on the staircase got up. Okay, I didn't realize they were all sitting down on the staircase, which is actually like an adorable mental image. I guess this is goodbye. Rokanjima the Beautiful. True. It may be a shadow of its former self, but this is the last time we'll see it, isn't it?
What could you possibly do with an attitude like that? Isn't there something you've got to show me? Let's see a happy ending.
I would have loved to CG for the staircase sitting so much. Maybe once my art block goes away, I'll just make it myself. I do want to do more Umineko themed art at some point. I still have a gap to finish though, so I just kind of left her hanging halfway through the drawing. Oops. I'm so sorry, Gap. Okay. I'm gonna drink some water real quick while we enjoy the music. She'll forgive me? Oh well. I sure hope so, because she could kick my ass into oblivion. I would not survive that. Okay. There's some... I just checked real quick. There's some stuff coming up. I would never be George, thankfully. Because, George is cringe. Just a little bit. I may be cringe, but I'm cringe in my own way and not in his, you know, flavor of cringe. I may be a weird idiot, but I drink my respect women juice, you know. He knows all the right things to say to the ladies, oh my god. If those are the right things to say to the ladies, I want to be wrong, always, in everything I say, because oh my god, oh no, no. No. He just sucks so much. It's weird because I do like him as a character. And he's got some really admirable traits that I can really respect, right? Like, he's definitely not like a purely bad guy. He's so easy to make fun of because his bad traits really jump out. Poor guy, honestly, we dunk on him a lot. He kind of deserves it though. Mostly because he presents himself as like, I'm changed, I'm better now, but he changed a little bit. Still a lot of work to be done, and he doesn't acknowledge that at all. I don't think. No, he doesn't acknowledge that, so that's the main reason for me. Anyway, he's also corny, yes, but that I can forgive. Like if you're like a romantic or something, like if you say cheesy shit, that's fine with me. But he's just kind of. Well, we've been over this. I don't need to remind you all. Okay, one more sip of water and I'm good to go. That is why Gap stomped him into oblivion, and then he started kicking back, which is not a... Okay, to be fair, that is one of his shining moments, is where he like fights back with like the power of love and stuff. Total badass. I would simply die. So, you know, respect to George, I guess, for being a badass. Yeah. Well, hey, maybe we'll get more Kung Fu George at some point. Who knows? That would be cool. Okay. The Book of the Single Truth, sealed in crystal by Battler. Until I undo this seal, I can't even stick the key in the keyhole. You can remove it, right? This seal? Of course. They're in a vast, dimly lit space. To sum it up in a phrase, it was like a trench in the ocean floor. No, that's not quite right. It was a library. However, the number of books and the height of the shelves vastly surpassed all of those that existed in the world of humans. If height is the measure of greatness, then the gods must surely have been giants, taller than mountains. This place appeared to be a library big enough and grand enough for such gods. Each individual book was no larger than those from the human world. However, the shelves holding them stood like the walls of a valley or a deep-sea ocean trench. So, Ange and the others looked like little more than a few small butterflies who had wandered into this vast library. Like minuscule deep-sea fish swimming about, all alone in an ocean pit. This is more like ice than a seal. If you just steal it away from Battler and put it under the rays of the sun, it will fade away by itself as time passes. Isn't there some way to just smash it open? Do you like to thaw your frozen fish by smashing it with a hammer? Sorry, I was always terrible in cooking class. Kitties, thaw this seal. These are still very creepy to me. When Burncastle whispered, from the dark ocean pit deep below them, several emerald green glints appeared and gathered like a school of fish. Berncastle threw the book of the single truth down to them, and only after several seconds passed, the school of fish seemed to gather around it and carry it away. Those few seconds made it clear just how deep this bookshelf trench went. Ange was once again dumbfounded by this unimaginably vast and godly library.
We can just let them handle the rest.
And you really will let me see what's inside?
If that is your wish, I'll grant it. And of course, I won't be able to read it myself without that key of yours.
Ange silently gripped the golden key in her pocket. This journey has been so long and so strange. In search of the truth from 12 years ago, I left my home, met President Okonogi, met Amakusa, and at some point, that adventure became part of a witch illusion. However, here I am. Yoshiromiya Eva's diary is here. The truth written inside it is sitting right before me.
Rest for a while. Even I don't have enough free time to spend it all with you.
Oh, I'm not really tired though.
Erika, serve Ange some tea or something. Yes, my master.
Erika popped into existence out of nowhere and bowed to her master. Berncastle, if by any chance you're planning to use me and steal both the key and the book, you won't get off easy.
How dare you say such a thing to my master?
Sorry. After my long experience with witches, I've decided not to trust normal words.
Very well. I'll promise it with the red truth. When the seal on the book of the single truth is dissolved, you, Ange, will be the first to read it. Is that good enough for you?
For some time, Ange considered the witch's words, searching for some sort of trap hidden within them. There was no greater guarantee than a red truth given by a witch. Ange understood this well enough. If one did start to doubt even this red truth, then there would be nothing left to trust in this entire world. If one began to suspect even this, then even the truth would no longer be truth.
Are you still unsatisfied about something?
No, I'm fine. She would need Berncastle's help if she wanted to read the book of the single truth. Ange finally realized that she had nothing to gain by complaining more and annoying this witch further. Once you've broken the seal, call me right away.
Of course. I also want to read it as soon as possible. I'll call for you at once.
Bern spun away from them, then vanished into the dark bookshelf trench. Ange saw a school of emerald green fish appear and follow behind Berncastle. Could those be her familiars? As she stared at the emerald lights that resembled some sort of deep-sea fish, Ange was poked from behind.
Let's go. Comrade Ange.
You're creeping me out, so please just call me Ange. Erika, holy shit.
Then you can call me Erika-sama.
Let's get going, Comrade Erika. That's rude as hell, Erika. What the fuck? The pair began to swim in the direction Erika indicated. Swim seemed a better way to describe what they were doing than fly would have. Just, what is this place? It's way too big to be called a library.
It's not like you'll be able to remember its name, so why not just call it the library? I'll decide what I can or can't remember. Tell me. It's the great witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating's noble city of carefully selected books.
Yeah, the library works fine.
I knew you'd say that.
The City of Books. Yeah, the name fits. And I do believe Eric was cast into the depths of oblivion, which might be at the bottom of this library, who knows? So it could be that's where she got tossed into. If so, she's very chill about being back here. The bookshelves on either side of this canyon are skyscrapers. If I think of those emerald green lights flowing beneath us as headlights on a highway, then this really does seem like a city of books. These things aren't just books, are they?
That's right. Each volume is packed with an ensemble play. They look like books from here, but if you open one up, you'll find a whole world inside.
So, even our long tale is only one of these.
Great witches who live on a far, far higher plane than we do are hardly any different from a god or a creator. From their perspective, our little tale is worth little more than a single book, if that.
From the theatergoer's perspective, our individual lives are hardly worth anything at all. If they're writing down an entire world in a single volume, then my life probably isn't even worth a single line. But we are the main characters. I am, and so are you.
That's right. Even if the Tale of the Gods doesn't mention us, we are always the main character in the story we write for ourselves. Becoming aware of that fact is the first thing that separates witches from humans.
They were on a balcony, which was really a room-sized section that had been dug out of the bookshelf, with no guardrail along the cliff. It didn't go in very deep, making it look like a room that had been cut in half. It was filled with the tools of everyday life, as though this was Erika's hidden house.
My master has ordered me to serve you some tea. So, if you don't feel like drinking, I'll have to pour it into you with a funnel.
If you try, I'll have to serve you some matcha.
Matcha?
Nothing, just talking to myself. Ignoring Erika as she made tea, Ange looked down upon the bizarre, otherworldly scene below. Until Erika finished getting the tea ready, the scene held Ange's gaze like it was sucking out her soul.
This might sound strange coming from me.
What?
You made a deal to throw away your life to learn the truth. That's quite something.
I had nothing to gain from life. It was easy for me to trade away the time I had left.
My master really does take to idle whims. To think she would make a contract for the meaningless life of a powerless girl.
Ange chuckled, not bothering to argue. That was exactly right. How incredible that Bernkastel would lend her power to a worthless life that was trying to throw itself away.
Well, my master is the witch who controls miracles. So, it makes sense that she'd appear even for a worthless girl like you.
Good point. Even if Bernkastel hadn't appeared, I would have still taken that step off the edge that day.
You really are a cheap woman, aren't you?
Well then, just how much are you worth?
Me?
The way Erika cackled was disturbing. Still, Ange realized that this was her way of answering the question. People don't become witches of their own choosing. If they're capable of living, all people want to live their lives as humans. When something comes along to trip up that life, that's when the road to living as a witch opens. Even Fururo Erika, who calls herself the Witch of Truth, must be like this. The two witches of truth, sitting here drinking tea without even looking at each other, are exactly the same.
I like exposing the truth.
I know that.
I like exposing secrets, and then watching those people turn pale as they wonder how I figured it out. That's when I know I've reached the truth, and it's a moment of ecstasy.
There's something seriously wrong with you.
Well then, what does the truth mean to you?
Ange was about to give an immediate answer, but she bit down her words. And when she did, not knowing the right way to respond, no further words came. After all, to Ange, the truth itself was the goal. At first, it was out of hatred. Could Ushinomiya Eva, the sole survivor of the Rokanjima, be the culprit behind everything? She hated Eva, but she had no proof that her aunt was the culprit, and, of course, Eva never talked about what happened on that island. So at first, in Ange's eyes, the truth meant proof that Eva was the culprit. However, that feeling withered away with Eva's death. Now that Eva was dead, even if Ange did find some kind of proof, it wouldn't mean anything. So, eventually, the truth Ange wanted to find became nothing more than the simple desire to know what happened on that island that day. However, one thing was obvious. Even if she did find out the truth, that wouldn't bring any of her family back to her. It might not mean anything at all.
You're going to expose the truth your beloved Oni-chan is hiding, even though it's meaningless. You're the one that's not making sense.
Erika laughed mockingly. Ange laughed too, as though she agreed. And so, truth to me became my goal. Maybe you could even call it my reason for living.
So, once you do reach the truth, there won't be any point or purpose to you living anymore, right?
That's right. So, I'll die. Hasn't it been long enough? I've already lived 12 years too long. Don't I at least deserve to have a witch appear and grant my wish in my final moments?
To put it simply, you're just tired with life.
Does that sum it up? Yeah. So, my reason for living, my very existence, and everything else, is meaningless. That's why this goal of finding the book of the single truth has put a little sparkle back into my life, now that it's nearly over.
At least on that score, I'm grateful to Burncastle. I see. Balor wants you to live, so he hit the goal that would let you die. I think I pity Balor-san for the first time. After all, you can't choose your little sister. Sorry, Oni-chan. I'm tired of life. 12 whole years. I've been living off nothing but the illusion that someone might come home someday. Just let me find peace already. Finding the truth of that day, I decided I'd use that to mark the end of my life. For 12 years I believed in a miracle, but there was no miracle. I won't believe in miracles anymore. The Book of the Single Truth. Of course, I'm also dying to find out what's in it. But from what I hear, it doesn't sound like the truth inside is something spectacular enough to mark the end of your life with. Yeah. At first I hoped there would be something earth-shattering in it, written in it. But now I guess I've cooled on it. Any truth searched for by a worthless person is bound to be worthless. It'll probably make for a fitting end to your worthless life. Yeah. I'm sure it will. Ange was already starting to realize something. Regardless of why Eva decided not to talk about what happened, the real events of that day probably weren't anything earth-shattering. Some sort of malfunction made the bomb in that secret underground base explode. Yes, it was just an accident. But the public believed and hoped that some sort of plot surrounded the events of that day. Eva was a suspect herself, so she could claim that nothing strange had happened until she was blue in the face, and no one would believe her. Of course, this included Ange. In that case, shutting up like a clam would just make things easier. It was hardly surprising that Eva chose to say nothing. Right now, I don't feel any sense of accomplishment. I just feel sort of worn out and listless. Being able to bear the truth is what makes a witch of truth. Comrade Ange, it looks like you don't possess that strength after all. If you did, you wouldn't be thinking about dying. You're right. For 12 years I've clung on to the hope that someone might come back. I've just used Beatrice's cat box to shut away the truth, denying it for 12 years. When you read the Book of the Single Truth, I wonder what will happen to you. Who knows? Won't Burncastle carry out the contract by slicing my head off with a scythe or something? Or will I be turned into chunks of meat again? Maybe I'll get some salt and pepper this time. I see. So that's where the chunks of meat thing came from. Did you say something? Nope, nothing at all. Anyway, would you like some more tea? No, thank you. Ange listlessly gazed down from the balcony with no handrail, down into the darkness of the abyss at the bottom of the bookshelf ravine. No, the gap between the bookshelf skyscrapers. From the beginning until the end of my journey, I haven't taken a single step away from this spot. This journey of mine, not even a single step long, will end soon.
What are those lines of lights flowing around at the bottom?
Oh, those? Probably a group of guests coming to the great Lady Aurora's party.
Guests?
Great witches from the Senate. Voyager witches who are trying to escape boredom in their endless travels. Powerful witches who have woken from century-long sleeps, as well as witches who control the future world and noble witch hunters. It seems like she's planning to hold a grand party tonight.
Is it a birthday party or something?
From what I've heard, while the great Lady Beatrice, the Endless Witch, may be an outsider among witches, she's also the genius whose formidable magical system of magic resulted in the creation of Beatrice's Catbox, the endless factory capable of producing endless tales. From my point of view, she's just stupid and a weak finisher, but in the world of great witches, she's apparently pretty famous.
So, this is Beatrice's birthday party?
My master says she'll be holding a dinner party with Beatrice's guts. After all, it's only natural, right? The Catbox was only able to generate infinite tales because there was no single truth. However, tonight, the single truth will be revealed thanks to your key. And that means the Catbox will be opened. Really, it's no different from slicing open her chest as she still lives and tearing out what's inside.
Everyone in that huge crowd, which looks like a packed freeway, is going to one dinner party? I'm not sure what's stronger, my shock at how famous Beatrice is, or my revulsion at those sleazebags.
For you, the Book of the Single Truth is nothing more than an end. However, for all of those enjoying the mystery of the Rokkenjima, this is an event that can't be missed.
I see. So, that's a crowd of those goats who are chewing Oni-chan's game board apart. Ange's analogy was an accurate one. The crowd far, far below them was made up of nobles wearing beautiful outfits and goat masks. They were all so intent on tearing their guts out of Beatrice's Catbox that they couldn't even hide the drool trickling from their mouths. Those gluttonous goat nobles, who derived pleasure from violently exposing the truth, were in a line of cars heading towards the meeting place. Looks like this is the end for Beatrice and the Catbox.
Beata's group is holed up in the Golden Land, the last leftovers from the game board. Acting as gatekeepers, Balor and Beata have destroyed the first wave, but they won't be able to stop the second. My master has given me an armada capable of destroying the very concept of defensive measures. The Golden Land's ramparts are as good as gone.
Those goats too appeared all over the island. They're the personification of random opinions in the future, and all of them want the island's tale to be a tragedy.
That's right. Those goats keep getting born from the sea of the internet. That first wave was just the riffraff. The second wave will be entirely different. It's made up of the best, elite goats selected from the crowd that are capable of denying all the cowering pieces one by one. In total, they number in the hundreds of thousands. 100,000 people to deny the existence of a few dozen hiding on an island.
Looks like this is it for Oni-chan too.
You're ready though, aren't you? You understand that Ishinomiya Battler died in 1986 and that this man is an illusion created by the Catbox.
Yeah. I understand. Regardless of whether he's my real brother or an illusion. Regardless of whether he's who I'd like him to be or not. The battler who created this game board for my sake will die. No. It just means that I'll accept the fact of his death, so it's not like he's going to die now. Ange thought to herself. Shouldn't performing the last rites for her brother be her responsibility? This was her final trial, which she had assigned to herself. All of those people down on the game board were the personification of Ange's naivete. By denying the existence of all of them, wouldn't she finally be able to accept the truth? No, that's not right. I'm not being honest, even with myself. Even if it's all an illusion, it wouldn't make that bizarre Halloween party any less heartwarming. Oni-chan said it himself. That Halloween party may have been an illusion. However, he was trying to use that party to tell me something. About that second wave.
My master has appointed me to be their commander. Leave it to me, Ange-san. My master isn't so malicious that she'd make you dirty your own hands.
Yes, that might be kind of her. These are my lingering attachments we're talking about. I should be grateful to Castle. If she really were cruel, she would probably have ordered me to take charge of the second wave and execute my own family.
Comrade Ange, you are a witch of truth, aren't you?
That's right. Probably.
Then, let's accept the truth, okay? Finally, after 12 years, the single truth lies before you.
I'll just sit around here until Castle finishes breaking the seal.
You'll probably be summoned as a guest for the party. We've got a mirror, so maybe you should wipe the sleep from your eyes.
Maybe you should shave before heading out to battle. Ooh, what's this CG? It floated in the empty air. The door to the Golden Land. One or two square meters of tile floor still remain in front of the door, scarcely enough to remind a person that this had once been Kinzo's study. By now, all of the game board except the Golden Land had been eaten away, leaving only this door, floating in a sea of nothingness. There are two figurines no. That's what the CG is showing, but the text actually says, there are two figures in front of that door. I don't think it means the statues. There we go. My brain was just like, yay, statues! But no, in reality, it's Battler and Beato. They may not have been literally covered with wounds, but they definitely seem to be dead tired. Battler, leaning against the door, seemed to have finally caught his breath. Beato was also sitting against the door, letting her legs dangle gracelessly. Could the battle against that force really be called a battle? It was more like a mere pushing fight on the increasingly small bit of ground that remained. They'd wanted to protect at least Kinzo's study no matter what, and the only fruit of their desperate struggle was the tiny bit of flooring that they were sitting on now. Those goats fell into the abyss whenever they had nowhere to stand. So now, with so much of the floor gone, there was no way for them to attack anymore. If Battler thought this, his naive hopes were quickly crushed. Looks like we're surrounded. So, their plan was to gather their forces and crush us in a single stroke. Sorry. Animated ships. Holy shit. I'm sorry, is that a is that a cat-shaped pirate flag? That's the Armada, you're right. That is a cat-shaped pirate flag. Or pirate sail, really, it's not a flag. Stretching across the horizon, surrounding the door at their backs, was an encirclement of countless large sailing ships. As they could clearly see, the decks of those ships were packed with goats, with some of the more foolish and overeager ones spilling over the edges into the emptiness below. Dang. I've gone through a lot of crazy stuff in your games, but being surrounded by pirate ships is definitely a first for me. They probably do possess the strength to break through the Golden Land's perimeter. Those cannons are no bluff. Doubtless, they intend to use those to smash through this door and pour in. Along the sides of each ship were several open gun ports, each with a cannon pointed at the door. If all the ships surrounding them were joined by even more, and all of those ships fired all of their cannons at once, there is no point trying to imagine what would happen next. Balor and Beato grimaced and hung their heads. How long will the Golden Land perimeter hold out against those cannons? I do not know. However, since they are still awaiting reinforcements after amassing that many, I doubt the barrier will break that easily. True. I can't think of any other reason to delay our attacks without even sending terms for surrender. I hope we can take advantage of this time they give us. Time is always the ally of the weaker side. After all, we can always hope for a miracle. Though, it might also give us more time to wither in despair. At that moment, something small and hard hit Balor in the forehead. Ow! The heck is this? Competo candy?
It's me. I know where Bern and the others are.
The Competo candy was Lambda Delta's transformed body. She was the only one of their allies capable of crossing the sea of fragments. Spectacular. That's the great Lady Lambda Delta for you.
They'll be able to see us here. Let's talk inside. It's getting crazy out there.
Got it. Is anyone there? When Battler knocked on the door, it opened, and Shannon and Conan came into view.
You called for us?
My apologies, but we need you two to keep a lookout. Leave it to us. When they begin their attack, don't worry about fighting them. Escape to the Golden Land as soon as they start. Don't worry about closing the door.
But that means...
They're planning to ignore the door and smash the Golden Land directly. Making a last stand here won't do anyone any good.
I understand.
We'll take care of things here, so go inside and work on a counterattack. Indeed. We're counting on you. Balor and Beata traded places with Shannon and Kanon, returning to the Golden Land. A gentle rain poured down over the Golden Land Rose Garden. The Golden Land's weather reflected the hearts of those inside it. The quietly falling raindrops spoke for the pain felt by those who could do nothing but hide here, waiting for the enemy's final assault. When they returned to the arbor, the Competo flew out of Balor's pocket, jumped onto the table, and returned to its original form.
I haven't had a thrill like this in years. Hard to believe that I'd get put in a tight spot like this even after becoming a witch.
Let's get down to business. Just where are Ange and Bernkastel?
The City of Books.
I've heard of it. They say it's a place where all kinds of fragments, collected by great witches who travel the sea, are recorded and stored in the form of books. Indeed. The great witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating's noble city of carefully selected books. So, the great Lady Aurora is the ruler of the City of Books. Truly a suitable place for her.
Nice going, Lady Lambda Delta. Hard to believe that you could pick out that spot so quickly from all the other possible hiding places. Actually, it was pretty easy. I didn't even have to search since they're advertising it as loud as they can. They're planning a huge party where they'll unveil the secret to the cat box of the Endless Witch, the great Lady Beatrice.
I see. So they haven't been delaying their attack because they await reinforcements, but because the party hasn't begun yet. So, in this party, they plan to use Ange's key and reveal the contents of the Book of the Single Truth.
You've got it. Aurora hasn't held an event like this for ages, and she's gathering VIP guests from all over the place. The Book of the Single Truth will probably be the party's final showpiece.
So, that means we still have a shot at taking Ange and the key back.
Time-wise, that may be true. However, there's a really simple and obvious problem.
What?
The City of Books is a sacred realm under the supervision of the Senate. It's protected by a holy barrier. Only a witch of the Senate can enter it.
Aren't there any invitees who aren't members of the Senate?
Yeah, there are. It looks like they're being given special invitations which allow them to enter the sacred realm for a limited time.
Invitations. My. Now this might be interesting.
That's what I thought too. But it turns out there's a strict policy on punctuality, and these invitations automatically become useless unless you present them before the party begins. And I'm afraid to say that party started a short while ago.
In other words, it's too late to try stealing an invitation from a guest who's running late.
That's right. So, what do we do now? Could someone get me popcorn? I'd like a nice candy flavor this time.
As an outsider, I hate to bore into the conversation, but we seem to have no options left. We've already done it, aren't we?
Can't we do anything except sit here until they attack? There must be something we can do.
That's right. There's just one thing we can do.
What's that?
We can keep on struggling for each second of survival and hope for a miracle. A miracle? So, we're stuck defending the Alamo. We cannot surrender. Our only option is to hold out as long as we can, waiting for a miracle.
Who do you? What kind of miracle? Ange could change her mind for some reason. there is a chance, maybe one in several million, that she comes back.
With a probability such as that, it truly would be a miracle. We are here so that we can await Ange-san's return.
Yes, Ange-san has nowhere to call home except where we are right now. So, we must defend this place to the last minute, waiting for her to come back.
Awaiting the master's return is the duty of a servant. Now that it has come to this, I, Goda, am prepared for what may come.
Butler-sama, all of us are prepared.
We of the Chester Sisters Imperial Guard will fulfill our oath and remain by the great Lady Beatrice's side until the bitter end. 45 here. No problems. I shall fight until the end. Finally, a fitting place to dine, yeah. No problems from 410, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, everybody gets to talk. Oh no.
The 7 Sisters of Purgatory will stay with Beatrice-sama and Valor-sama until the finish.
The 6 younger sisters also showed their resolve with their eyes, and did not get lines, thankfully, sparing my voice, which I greatly appreciate.
Eiserne Jungfrau
Will serve until the end. The former SSVD's got your back too.
And please, lend us your power as well.
The true miracle is that the 7 sisters did not all get a line in. You're right.
Me? No way. Didn't I just give you some excellent intel? I think I've done more than my fair share, don't you? How do you know that Ange-chan is in the City of Books? I saw her with my own eyes, of course. I never trust anything unless I see it for myself. Which means you're qualified to enter this sacred realm called the City of Books, right? Indeed. The great Lady Lambda Delta is a witch of the Senate, after all. Lambda Delta. What is with you guys? You're not gonna tell me to do more work, are you? My, what an unexpected development. Lady Lambda Delta is the only one who can enter the City of Books. And what could that possibly mean? Now this is Lady Lambda Delta's time to shine. Enough kidding around. Are you people crazy? You're telling me to go, all by myself, and sneak into there one more time, and then bring Ange back out here?
The several dozen people surrounding Lambda Delta all nodded in unison.
How stupid can you be? If I were to save Ange, that'd mean crashing the great Aurora's party, get it? I'd have the whole world as my enemy. And what's in it for me? Nothing, obviously. There's nothing you all could possibly offer me that'd be worth getting on the bad side of Aurora and her monster friends. You'll get to see a happy ending, where Aurora and Ferncastle's schemes are crushed. Ange comes back, and everyone makes peace with one another. What do you say, Lady Lambda Delta? There could be no greater thrill. If you pulled off such a marvelous feat, you would be able to forget your illness for 1,000 years, would you not? We're begging you, Lambda Delta. Lend us your power. Please, please, we're begging you. Help us save Ange. Everyone clamored for Lambda Delta's help. They surrounded her and begged her for her assistance. Please, Lady Lambda Delta. Only you can do this. Give us your strength. I'll show you the greatest of tales. You'll get to see it from the front row. So please, lend us your strength. Shut up! Shut the hell up!
Lambda Delta leapt to her feet and crushed the cup of popcorn in her hands. Where do they keep finding the popcorn? Anyway. Sweet, candy-flavored popcorn flew everywhere and pieces stuck to everyone's face. It may have been a hilarious sight. However, no one laughed. Lambda Delta's face was filled with a rage that none of them had seen before.
Could you please stop getting the wrong idea? I'm a spectator. A spectator. I'm just a guest who was invited by Beato to come and watch this game. So, why am I supposed to risk my life for you people? Do you think you'll get a happy ending if Ange comes back? Are you really that stupid? Burn and their forces will come sweeping through here, mad with rage, and wipe us all out. There's only one reason I'm here, and that's because Leon over there said I'd get to watch an interesting show. Yeah, and now I'm sure I'll get to see a sublimely interesting tale very soon. A sad, sad tragedy as you fight desperately against Burn's forces and get wiped out one by one. Oh, I'm sure you'll each get one last time to shine as you're torn apart. If I just wait a little, I'll get to see all that, won't I? Pretty soon all of you will be dead. But not me. I'm a spectator. A guest. There's absolutely no reason why I should agree to die with you.
No one was able to say a word. In the still silence, with no sound except that of the rain, even Lambda Delta finally hung her head in dismay.
Sorry. I'm totally lame, aren't I? Yeah, if I stood up right now and said, leave it to me, my popularity would surge and I'd probably make it into the top 3 in the next character popularity contest. But still, unlike the rest of you, I'm not one of this story's characters. I can't die. It's like it's midnight, and you're telling me that we're almost at the best part. But tomorrow's Monday, and I've got early cleaning duty at school. We live in completely different worlds. That's why. You can't,
Lambda Delta staggered as though dizzy, then plopped down into a chair. Then, she became expressionless like a doll, just staring at a single point in space, silently. Sorry. Valor softly apologized. However, Lambda Delta remained expressionless. There's still more we can do on our own, so it's not fair to put pressure on you alone to risk something. We'll fight here and defend the spot until the last moment. We'll believe in the miracle of Ange choosing us over the single truth. If we aren't prepared to do that, we're in no position to ask you to give up your life alongside us. Battler rose from his seat and spun around. Battler. I'll switch places with the pair outside. When they come, I want to be in the front lines. That's the fastest and most direct way I can show Lambda Delta my determination. I shall go as well. Master, please find Lady Lambda Delta some more popcorn. Beato. I know Ange will return. If we don't believe, even a possible miracle will not bear fruit. You can't win a lottery unless you buy a ticket. Beato also stood up and followed Balor.
Everyone, let's do what we can to prepare for the fight. I agree. Nothing is stupider than just sitting around here.
Good point. For reaching the end, let's put on a good show.
We've got to make sure there's a place Ange-chan can call home. And we should hold a strategic conference.
Yeah. We have furniture, weapons, demons, and inquisitors. Must be some way for these mismatched forces to cooperate.
Let's go, little sisters. Break time is over. Jester troops, rise.
The humans and the fantasy creatures all rose to their feet and left the arbor. Afterward, only Lambda Delta remained, still staring blankly at a point in empty space.
Who's talking, game?
That black tea smells nice. Is it instant? Or from a tea bag?
Ah. Oh, would you like some too, Comrade Ava? We have no more cups, so you'll have to use a funnel.
A gold butterfly drifted onto the balcony and turned into Ava. How's Burncastle doing? Will it be a while longer before she breaks the seal in the Book of the Single Truth?
That's what I came to talk about. She says the seal has been broken. Congratulations. So, the time has finally come. The period to mark the end of your life. Take the key and go to Lady Burncastle. One of her cat familiars will guide you.
2 emerald sparkles flew in. They were the green, glinting eyes of a black cat. The cat flicked its tail elegantly, with the dignity of a high-class attendant.
Got it. Then I'll be back in a bit.
Ange rose from her seat. She did it casually, as though she really was just heading out for a short trip. However, her lips would never touch her half-finished cup of tea again.
We weren't together long, but I enjoyed it. It was a very enlightening experience, to learn what disgust for your own kind feels like.
Same here. Next time we meet, you'll have to teach me the trick to making tea this terrible.
Are you happy? Now you'll finally get to learn that secret I've been hiding from you for these past 12 years.
I am happy. Yeah. Now I can understand how Erika feels. It feels like I've taken a shot back at you, exposing the secret that you kept until your death.
And is that a good feeling?
It's better than nothing. Ange nodded towards the black cat to let it know that she was ready. The cat nodded back in a refined manner, indicated that it wanted Ange to follow, and leapt from the balcony. Without turning back, Ange followed it, jumping out into the air as though swimming. Ava watched her go. An expression of ridicule and scorn was not the one that crossed her face.
Good luck, Ange.
This is the path you've chosen. You aren't 6 years old anymore. You're 18.
Choose choose how to live your own life. What an overprotective aunt you are. I'm going to watch the ceremony. What about you? It's almost time to begin the attack, so I'm heading for the ships. I've got to go pick up Beato's corpse. The guts will go to the party. I get to keep her skin, so let's stuff and mount it. So, this is the end to the mysterious tale of Rokkenjima. Which means that it's also the end for you. I mean, you are a piece from there, right? A piece is all I am. The role of a piece is to remain faithful to its role until the game ends. It's not a piece's place to worry about what happens after the game is over. True. And it's the same for me. Let's both enjoy this time while we have it. Well then, allow me to take my leave. Later. Good luck with your work. After exchanging elegant bows, the two witches vanished at the same time. Nothing remained except some half-finished teacups and the aroma of the tea itself. One after another, luxury cars stopped in front of a high-class hotel in the city, and guests began to step out of them. Hey, Professor Otsuki. Oh, what a surprise. I haven't seen you since the last convention. All of the guests gathered here were very rich and cultured. A single hobby tied them all together. They were the witch hunters. Like-minded people who enjoyed exploring various interpretations of the Rokkenjima mystery. Still, I wonder if it's really true. Hard to believe that Ushinomiya Eva's diary actually exists. It really is. I had heard rumors of it myself. A secret diary said to have been hidden away by Ushinomiya Eva just before her death. Rumor has it that she wrote the details of Rokkenjima's truth in there. It reminds me of that fable of the king with the donkey's ears. Humans truly are a tragic creature, incapable of keeping quiet about a secret even if no one else could possibly learn of it. From what I've heard, a collector from Dubai offered to buy it for $10 million. Incredible. More evidence of the fascination that the Rokkenjima mystery is capable of stirring. Conversations like this were breaking out passionately all over the place. Furthermore, the guests weren't the only ones pouring in. The press was also there in force. The Rokkenjima mystery had created such a large movement that, at one time, it became a social phenomenon. Though that had died down slightly in recent years, it was still a topic fiercely debated across the internet. It was hardly any surprise that the discovery and imminent release of Ushinomiya Eva's diary, which contained the truth of that mystery, had caused an uproar. And on top of all that, the mysterious forger, Itoi Kukuro, was to appear publicly for the first time. That name has not appeared in a while, so that made me do a double take. In fact, it seemed that Itoi Kukuro and Hachijo Toya, the up-and-coming mystery novelist, were the same person. Of course, this meant that Hachijo Toya would also be appearing in public for the first time. The fact that she was actually an enigmatic female author, despite having been thought to be male, would have been enough to cause a stir on its own. Before the diary unveiling party, a press conference was held in one of the rooms of the hotel. Indeed, I am Hachijo Toya. We know that in your previous book signings, you went to the lengths of using a double to avoid appearing in public. What has caused you to change your mind and appear before us this time? The legend of the Tokonjima witch has given birth to endless tale. Considering the length of such a legend's demise, and being the mere writer that I am, I felt obligated to show myself as a sign of respect. As a forger, you announced on the web that you had reached the truth. Does that mean that you've already read the contents of that diary? And very soon, those contents will be revealed to everyone.
Pardon me for asking, but is there solid proof that the contents of this diary are the truth? It seems that some are claiming it to be no more than the personal account of a single deceased person.
That is not the case. I guarantee it. The truth is written in this diary. A stir passed through the crowd, and the room was suddenly filled with camera flashes.
This ends Hachijo's interview. Allow us to express our deep gratitude to all members of the press for coming today. And now, we would like to move on and allow you to take photos of Madame Ushinomiya Eva's diary. A hotel worker pushed forward a cart, covered by a veil. Then, after looking to Hachijo for approval, he removed the veil. There lay Ushinomiya Eva's diary. The book of the single truth sat there, waiting for its seal to be broken. Hachijo held it to her chest and laughed enigmatically. Camera flashes came from everywhere, making the book of the single truth glint. And that is all for now. If you would all please move to the assembly hall. Still holding the diary, Hachijo left the press conference room, escorted by men from the hotel, until she went through a door that said, "No entry unless authorized." The journalists continued to surround her and ask questions, hoping to gather just one more comment. When the door slammed shut, the world twisted. The hotel employees became black cats wearing capes. Hachijo had turned into Featherine.
Things are getting pretty crazy out there. Did you enjoy it?
It was tiring, although not a bad experience. I must say, though, this diary truly is heavy. Featherine tossed the diary, and Berncastle caught it. I'll rest in one of the waiting rooms.
You're up again pretty soon. There's no time to rest.
In that case, call it a short break so that I can properly enjoy this long-awaited excitement.
I need to borrow that book. I promised Ange that I'd show her first.
I see. In that case, do as you please. Featherine left, followed by her cat attendants. After watching her until she was out of sight, Berncastle disappeared as well. Like Erika's room, Berncastle's was a balcony without a handrail, dug out of a bookshelf cliff. Ange had been kept waiting for some time, but she had waited patiently, looking down at the world below her.
I'm late, aren't I? Sorry about that.
After Berncastle appeared, the black cats gave a bow and vanished.
Here you go. I brought it with me. The book of the single truth. Can I touch it? Do as you like.
Berncastle set it on the table and beckoned Ange forward. Slowly, Ange approached it. So, this is Aunt Ava's diary.
That's right. Inside it, you'll find the single truth that you wanted. You do have the key, right?
Yes, right here. Ange took the key out, looked at it there on her palm, then gripped it tightly. Even that heavy lock that held the diary so securely was fated to be swept aside easily as soon as Ange readied herself.
I won't rush you. You don't have to open it until you're ready.
And here, there's the truth of what happened on October 4th and 5th, 1986, right?
Yes. Everything that you offered up your life in the hope of learning is here. There even.
In that instant, inside of Ange, two Anges appeared, taking control of her body at the same time. On the one hand, she knew that she had already paid a great price to learn the truth. This part of her gripped the key, wanting to act quickly to prevent the moment of hesitation that might lead her to refuse and learn the truth now. At the final moment, with the book of the single truth right before her. On the other hand, feeling that she was betraying the brother and family that watched over her warmly made her bite her lower lip. However, though she shook, she could do nothing but watch as her right hand slowly brought the key towards the lock. What am I hesitating for? Inside this diary, there's the final destination of my sad, painful, 12-year-long journey. Was 12 years not enough of that? Do I want to keep living that way? That Oni-chan, and all those others, those are all illusions created by my heart. My naive hope that a miracle might still occur. If I put my two options on a scale, then the path I should choose is clear. Slowly, I pushed the key into the lock and twisted. The lock opened with a click, and at the same time, it felt as though a crack ran through the key in my hands. Maybe a part of its intricate design had broken off. I couldn't tell where it had broken just by glancing at it. However, for some reason, its golden glint seemed dulled somehow.
It's because you've made your choice with that key. A bit of magic has disappeared.
What kind of magic?
Didn't Balor tell you? He said you couldn't hand that over to anyone else. That magic, which left the decision to you, has just fulfilled its role and disappeared. That key is just a key now. It can't do anything but lock and unlock that diary.
I see. Then, I guess I have no more use for Ani-chan's key.
Can I have it? Once you've read the diary, I'll lock it up again. Opening that lock will be a big part of tonight's ceremony, it seems.
I see. Do whatever you want. I don't give a damn what happens after I find the truth. Berncastle slid the key from where it lay on the table and put it into her pocket.
Go ahead then, before the courage that led you here fades.
I lifted up Aunt Ava's now unlocked diary. The lock was open. Even the hinge had been released by now. There was no longer anything standing in the way of me opening to the pages within. I thought of taking a deep breath. However, I decided against it. I prepared myself for this long ago. So stupid to fuel my reluctance further. I opened it. Violently, ruthlessly. I knew that this was the right way to open to the truth that awaited me inside. As soon as the cover was opened, a brilliant light poured out, and my mind went hazy. The truth was sent to my mind directly, without letters or words. Tell me what happened that day in Rokanjima. My consciousness returned gradually. Nothing was written in the open book before me. Of course, this was my own blank and empty notebook. I was at school, just sitting idly with my notebook open. The world had stopped. The hands on the clock had stopped too. In that case, the auditorium should have been filled with silence. However, I could hear a small commotion. In this world of suspended time, I could see dark shapes sneaking about behind the unmoving students. They were students with goat heads. They were sneaking glances at me from behind the frozen students, whispering something to each other. I know. I can hear them. Everybody knows. One after another, students with goat heads slipped out from every conceivable hiding place. They slipped around all the students stopped in time and gathered around me. Then, they all jeered out things in an endless stream and, possibly aware that I could hear, showered me with giggles and sneers and comments amongst themselves. However, nothing that came from the goats' mouths reached my ears as words. This was a world without letters or words, so no words reached me. However, their emotions and meanings did reach me, so I knew what it was they were saying. And then, when I was able to visualize it, this happened. One after another, the goats opened their massive jaws, showing their fangs that dripped with saliva, and came forward to bite me. Time was stopped for me. I was aware, but I could not move. Literally, that wasn't true. However, I was pretending that I couldn't hear, so I couldn't move. The goats bit me all over my body, leaving their fang marks, licking me. Maybe they didn't like the taste of my clothes. Taking advantage of the fact that I couldn't move, they chewed through my clothes one by one, over and over again. The goats stuck their tongues, their jaws, their fangs into my naked body. I was covered with drool and bitten all over. Bright red teeth marks were left behind as sharp fangs pierced my skin, leaving trails of blood. They licked up that blood like real goats, hurting and humiliating me. As I hung my head, one of the goats pulled on my hair, forcing me to look up, and spoke. This time it wasn't conceptual, but words I could hear. However, they weren't words of the human world. They were a witch's words. The red truth, which signifies absolute truth.
This is the truth of the Rokonjima incident.
I won't accept it.
It doesn't matter if you accept it or not. This is the truth. After all,
I won't accept it. I won't. I'll never accept the truth like that. Never!
whether you accept it or not, that doesn't change the truth. After all, this is the single truth, proven in red.
Who cares about the truth? So stupid. So pointless. I'm the one who gets to decide if that's the truth or not, right? Even if it's red truth, I won't acknowledge it, won't permit it, and I definitely won't accept it. The red truth is absolute? Who is it absolute for? It's absolute for you guys, right? It's not absolute for me. I won't let you contaminate my truth with yours.
Ange, calm down. You're the one who wanted to know, right?
My truth is that Aunt Ava's the culprit. Aunt Ava killed everyone. Everything is her fault. Dad and Mom and Oni-chan and all the others are just victims. It's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. How could it be? How could it be? Your aunt will always be on your side, Ange-chan. Yeah, I get it now. I know what you meant. That's right. Aunt Ava, you're the culprit. You're the culprit. It's the world that's messed up and broken for not realizing that. I'm the right one. I'll deny the red truth. Deny the whole world.
Oh? In that case, try writing a red truth that only you can write. But how is it possible for a human to write with red truth?
It is possible. There's a red ink that only humans can write with. Ange-san, please calm down. I'm the right one. The world's wrong. I'll write it. I'll write the truth with the real red truth. 20. Requesting urgent support on the roof. Ange-san, wait! Don't be hasty. Look out!
Goodbye, Ange. Have a nice day.
I'll write it out. This is my blood red truth. I'll never accept the truth of your world. Ange's body went past the edge of the balcony. The air, which he had once been able to swim through, was now completely merciless for some reason. Ange's body plunged straight into the darkness below. Castle just watched the scene play out in silence. Behind her, men in black suits rushed up to the fence, clutching it, screaming. This is 20. Ange-san jumped off. Damn, can't see her from here. Quickly, investigate the ground area. It's no use, there's no way. Maybe she was caught by that safety net. Let's make sure. What fools. If you jumped straight down from this height, do you really think such a flimsy safety net could possibly save you?
As the Witch of Miracles, I, Dorncastle, guarantee that such a miracle certainly won't occur.
Ange's body fell from the skyscraper-like bookshelf and slammed against the floor of the City of Books. Looking down from Burncastle's balcony, which was as high as a skyscraper's roof, could it have looked like a lovely, red pressed flower? It couldn't have looked like anything. In the same way that the death of a single lonely girl who rejected the world and died alone wouldn't leave an impression on any of the world's people. She probably died instantly. It was only natural. She had fallen straight down from such a height after all. Is it even conceivable that she wouldn't die instantly after something like that? The index finger on the right hand of her corpse was stuck out as though it had traced something. Could it be that, by some impossible miracle, she really had escaped an instant death? And, in her final moments, using the ink of the red blood draining from her, could she possibly have written her own personal truth? However, no one would ever be able to tell what she had written. After all, the red blood pouring from her corpse had run over it all.
Even this was your decision, Ange.
Oh, that was Ava talking, not Bryn. Ava was looking down at the beautiful flower of blood radiating from Ange's corpse.
I tried to give you a chance to live, but you never truly made an effort to live in the future that began after the age of 6. And so, after 12 years, you finally returned to where you started.
The eyes on Ange's corpse were closed. However, there was no way of knowing if this was a peaceful thing. Slowly, the corpse began to break down. By the end, it had become a messy lump of flesh, with only a few parts recognizable as human. It was hardly surprising. How else would she look after falling from that height and slamming against the asphalt?
You managed to die.
However, this doesn't mean that everyone will be waiting for you in heaven. After all, you reached this place by rejecting all of those in heaven.
See you in hell.
No, that's probably where we are right now.
So long, Ange. Ava. Perfect timing. Did you call for me, my master? Dispose of this scrap meat for me if you wouldn't mind. I'm going to put this back.
In Burncastle's hands was the key, which had lost its magic when Ange had made her decision, and the book of the single truth, which had been locked up again.
As you wish, my master.
After looking down one more time, Burncastle vanished. Once she had gone, Ava summoned some cat familiars and ordered them to clean up. The black cats gathered Ange's flesh and scattered limbs and threw them into a tin bucket. Her flesh and scattered limbs threw those into a bucket. They didn't scatter them anyway. Even in this miserable form, Ange's soul was still living. Perhaps living is a poor description. She was unable to die. From now on, forever. She would drift along in the deepest depths of oblivion, covered by the dust of oblivion, until she finally disappeared. She continued to question herself. What did the truth mean to her? What was right, and where was the place she could call home? As her flesh began to cool, even the energy to ask these questions began to fade. Eventually, she would forget her everyday memories, and even the reason why she was suffering. However, there was one thing she would never be able to forget. That was the anguish. From this point forth, she would suffer endlessly without even knowing why. By the time the cats finished flinging her corpse into the bucket and dumping it into the sea of nothingness, Ange had forgotten even her own name. Well, I kinda have to stop it here. Because, the next part, I think, needs a full episode. It's getting kinda late. It's not exactly the note I wanted to end on, but, yeah. That's what we're gonna call it for today. Cool boy. That was very heavy, and, I promised at the beginning, like, hey, it's gonna be easy on the blood and the gore and the... And, oops, I lied on accident. So I'll add that to the, YouTube video as a little warning. My apologies. It's a good thing I keep the warning around, like, the whole episode through, because, yeah, turns out we need it. I knew that going in, but... Fun fact, just so you know. Next episode is gonna be also very heavy. And, the one after that... Well, that might be... No, that's also pretty heavy. And then the one after that... Because judging from this, I don't think I'm gonna make it on the 5th, so it'll be another 5 episodes instead of 4. I guess 4 instead of 3. But we'll see. But it's all heavy from here, actually. is the thing. So keep that in mind, I guess. This is not the best news to end on, really, but it'll be worth it. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun, even. There will still be, like, funny bits, lighthearted bits, because if there's one thing that the author of this is good at, it's, like, building up the tension and the heaviness and then having, like, little moments of relief. So it's not gonna be all bad all the time, for sure. But do keep in mind, we are wrapping up. We're heading towards the ending, and given the tone of the story so far, you know, it's gonna be sad. It's gonna get heavy. But it won't just be heavy. So, you know. Get the Kleenex, get some ice cream, and I'm sure that there will be plenty of stuff that is just gonna be very funny. And fun and entertaining too, because I already know how the story is. and what's gonna happen, so trust me on that. There'll be, you know, a good healthy mix of positive and emotional and heavy stuff. I won't say negative, because I don't think that's really what they're going for with any of this, so yeah. Oh boy. I really did not want to end this episode on that note. And, well, whether someone gets a happy ending or not, we will find out. Sure hope that happens, but... I can't say anything because it'll be a spoiler, I feel like. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to actually wrap it up within the next 3 episodes. But let's see. I think that part's pretty long, so I'm not sure I'm gonna manage, but then, what that does mean is that, okay, shit. I just realized something. Don't worry about that. Let's not worry about that. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. And, it'll be fine? Question mark? Or we will see. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up for realsies now. Thank you so much for being here and watching, and for sticking it out through the whole series with me. Because it's a long read, and it's just, you know. And I basically just sat here telling you, like, yeah, everything's gonna suck from now on. Not literally, but I promise it'll be worth it at the end. And, I appreciate it that you're watching. I appreciate you guys being in the chat and stuff, and all that good stuff. It's great. Thank you so much. Going to be back on Monday with the stream. I don't know what I'm streaming on Monday yet. Help. But on the 26th, I'll be streaming Slime Rancher 2 for the first time. It'll be great. I'm gonna hold off playing it until the stream. It's gonna be rough because I loved Slime Rancher 1. But there's that to look forward to. And then a couple weeks later, Coral Island, which comes out on October 11th. So I'll be playing that on the 17th, I guess. And of course, Umineko on Wednesdays. We have a plan. We're gonna stick to the plan. Hell or high water, you know. It's gonna work. And no matter what, I'm gonna need to take the day off on October 6th. I think, because it's gonna be rough no matter if it's like the second to last episode or the last episode. Second to last? The first to last? I forget how to say that. But like the one before, like the penultimate one. I'm gonna have a hard time with this one. But hey, I said it before, we're all in it together. At least I won't be like sad by myself about it this time. So, I'm rambling. I'm gonna go now. I'll put on some cheerful music. How about that? To counter the everything. Oh my god. I say cheerful, but oh god. I normally just hit shuffle on the music. And then let, you know, the shuffle do the work. And now it's like, no. Only downer songs. Please, thank you. Okay, this'll do. This'll do. Yes, because we do love some Kitalogy music in here. Alright. Yes. I will see you next time. If you show up. Amakusa he would enjoy this one, yeah. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, despite all the downer stuff. But it's part of the story, and we're gonna get through it. Alright, have a good day, have a good night, and have a good week, and I will see you next time. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.